Good morning, Admiral. Within hours of taking the oath of office, President Trump signed at least 48 executive orders. This is the preliminary analysis of these orders that you requested. Granting pardons and commutations for January 6th offenders, removed all criminal penalties for over 1,500 rioters, including Enrique Tarrio, leader of the Proud Boys, serving a 22-year sentence, and Stuart Rhodes, founder of the Oath Keepers, serving an 18-year sentence, both for seditious conspiracy. Those offenders who had been incarcerated have already been freed. Analysis. This pardon asserts an aim of reconciliation, but it may instead embolden right-wing political violence. If that's the case, this executive order may be an impeachable offense, since it will have violated President Trump's oath to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Article 2, Section 3, United States Constitution. 3 executive orders seek to expand presidential control over the federal bureaucracy, senior executive service, SES, restructuring, and restoring accountability for career senior executives, assert that these flag-level civilians, quote, serve at the pleasure of the president, unquote, and directs administrative actions such as reassignment for civil servants who, quote, refuse to implement policy priorities, unquote. Restoring accountability to policy influencing positions within the federal workforce directs the classification of tens of thousands of civil service jobs into a new category that provides less protection against reassignment or firing. Analysis. This signals a concentrated effort to assert partisan political control over the government, contrary to a tradition of the rule of law, not politics, established by the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act of 1883. We will monitor this trend. Several executive orders seek to shut down illegal immigration, declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States, and securing our borders, direct emergency funding of wall construction, and the deployment of Department of Defense forces to the border, the southern border. Clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States directs a revision of the Unified Command Plan, the UCP, within 10 days to give United States Northern Command the mission to, quote, seal the borders, unquote, and to repel unlawful mass migration, narcotics trafficking, human smuggling, and other criminal activities. Analysis. This executive order may be illegal in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which prevents the government from using the U.S. Army for domestic law enforcement. If so, this EEO may be an impeachable offense. Designating cartels and other organizations as foreign terrorist organizations does not name the cartels, such as the Sinaloa Cartel, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the Gulf Cartel, and Los Zeta. Formal designation of these groups as foreign terrorist organizations will be a Secretary of State function in consultation with the National Counterterrorism Center and the intelligence community. Marco Rubio, the nominee for Secretary of State, has stated that he advocates such designations. The government of Mexico has voiced concern that this initiative might threaten Mexican sovereignty. Analysis. Following such a designation, unilateral U.S. attacks on the cartels, such as we have routinely done in the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility for years, will trigger increased violence both north and south of the border as the cartels strike back, using gang members in the U.S., including the drug trafficking organizations which predominantly run the drug trade in the United States from inside the U.S. penal system. This increased violence, together with the Trump administration's campaign to arrest and deport millions of illegal aliens, and as well his threatened tariffs on Mexican products, presage a severe deterioration in United States-Mexican political and economic relations. Other EOs, executive orders, indicate a monumental shift in American energy and environmental policy, putting America first in international environmental agreement, takes the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement, which seeks to resist global climate change through lowering of carbon emissions, declaring a national energy emergency, advocates increased oil and mineral development, production, and refining, temporary withdrawal of all areas of the outer continental shelf from offshore wind leasing, halts new offshore wind projects pending review, unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential, removes restrictions on oil drilling and other resource extractions in Alaska. Analysis: the fossil fuel industry spent $445 million in support of Donald Trump and congressional campaigns in the 2024 electoral season. Since President Trump signed these executive orders, ExxonMobil market capitalization increased $4.08 billion. That's in the last day. Chevron increased $1.59 billion, and British Petroleum increased $1.01 billion. This pivot will benefit the fossil fuel industries, lowering of gas prices, economic benefit to average citizens, and the consequences to global climate change are trends that must be monitored. Other executive orders of the 48 set price controls on essential goods and fuels, kicked off a restructuring of U.S. foreign aid, tasked the Department of Commerce with investigating and redressing trade deficits, about time, and unfair trade practices. They also sever ties with the World Health Organization, and they end DEI programs in the federal government, and they renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. At least 48 EOs have been signed and posted at whitehouse.gov/presidential-actions. Other EOs are expected. All Americans who care about the future of our nation, should read them. Final analysis: we will have to see whether the Republican majority Congress backs up these executive orders with legislation and funding, or whether the second Donald Trump administration intends to govern more in a spirit of executive branch authority. If so, this would signify a massive shift in the balance of power between the three branches of federal government, away from the legislature and towards the executive branch, leading to a more kingly presidency. This concludes my brief. Are there any questions? Proof of life, New York Times, yesterday, President Trump signing an executive order. Thank you. Go read the executive orders. And if you're a senior civilian and you have thoughts about what he's doing to the senior executive service, comment. If you're an energy advocate, environmental advocate, if you care about these issues and you're an expert in these issues, please comment. And please recommend YouTubers who are experts in these subjects. For the rest of us who are just Americans who voted one way or the other, we have to listen to what they say, but we have to watch what they do. Thank you. I'm Tom Cole. I'm a retired naval intelligence officer and a retired computer systems engineer, and I spend my day writing science fiction novels, but I'm not commenting on national politics. Thank you very much.